Welcome back to Untold British News. In today's video, we'll dive into the heated moments from Prime Minister's questions, where Angela Rayner once again came under fire for Labour's plans and struggled to answer some straightforward questions. Stick around as we break down the exchange, react to the key points, and cover the latest headlines from across the country. But before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Untold British News. We're so close to reaching our goal of 1,000 subscribers, and your support will help us continue growing this amazing community. So don't forget to subscribe and be part of the journey. In today's Prime Minister's questions, Angela Rayner once again faced tough criticism regarding Labour's policies and was ridiculed for her inability to provide clear responses. As always, we will be watching, reacting, and reviewing the latest news happening across the country. As mentioned earlier, during Prime Minister's questions, Angela Rayner was put under pressure over Labour's plans and struggled to respond to basic inquiries. Have a look at the exchange. The Deputy Prime Minister stood on a platform promising not to raise taxes on working people, but now it seems she can't even define who the working people are. Let's give her another chance. There are 5 million small business owners in this country. Are they considered working people? The Deputy Prime Minister responds, "I'm not sure how the shadow Deputy Prime Minister can say that with a straight face when it was the small businesses, the hard-working people of this country, who paid the price for their economic mismanagement, which sent interest rates soaring. He ought to learn from his own party's failures." Oliver, the opposition speaker, says, the entire chamber heard the Deputy Prime Minister disregard 5 million hard-working small business owners. These are the pub landlords, the shopkeepers, the families running local cafes. None of these, it seems, count as working people to her. Labour gave a clear commitment not to raise national insurance, but the Independent Institute for Fiscal Studies, IFS, has stated that raising employer national insurance is effectively a tax on working people. Even the Chancellor said it would be a jobs tax, making new hires more expensive and increasing costs for businesses. So does she agree with the IFS and her own Chancellor? The Deputy Prime Minister responds, "I remember when the opposition stood up and said to businesses, 'F to business,' while our party held an international investment summit last week that brought £63 million into the economy. We are pro-business, pro-worker, and we're busy fixing the damage they left behind." Oliver says, well, from that response, it seems the Deputy Prime Minister doesn't agree with the IFS or her own Chancellor. But does she at least agree with this statement? Working people will pay when employers pass on the increase in national insurance? Those were her own words. The Deputy Prime Minister replies, "What I'm incredibly proud of is that this week our government introduced a new employment bill that will raise the living standards of 10 million workers." Meanwhile, the opposition should apologize for the mess they created with 70 tax hikes on working people and the disaster they left behind. Oliver adds, "She refers to her policy, but let's be clear, this is a £5 billion blow to the British economy, and that's from their own assessment." I think after today's exchange, many working people will be even more concerned about the tax rises that may be included in next week's budget. What's your take on Rayner's difficulty in answering questions? Drop your thoughts in the comments section below. In other news, 3 migrants tragically lost their lives, and about 40 others were rescued from the English Channel after their small boat sank. The rescue mission was launched early Wednesday morning when reports came in about a boat in trouble just off the French coast near Sangati. Several vessels and a helicopter were deployed to the area, finding roughly 40 migrants in the water. 2 individuals rescued were unconscious and, despite medical efforts, were declared dead upon reaching shore in Calais. A third body was later found by a passing ferry after it was spotted floating in the water. At least 40 migrants were rescued, with 8 brought ashore by another vessel. Medical teams were on standby to assess their condition. The search continues in the area for anyone else who might have fallen into the sea. Ferry services have been suspended as this large-scale operation proceeds. So far this year, nearly 50 deaths have been recorded by French authorities, including a baby who tragically died when another boat capsized last week. Later that morning, British and French maritime officials were alerted to another boat in distress near the midway point of the channel. A UK Coast Guard helicopter, along with 2 border force ships, responded. About 50 migrants were rescued, thankfully with no injuries reported. The flow of migrants continues, with British authorities confirming that another 2 small boats made it to UK waters, resulting in about 100 migrants being brought to the Border Force Processing Center in Dover. This follows last Friday's first arrival of around 800 migrants in 13 boats. So far this year, over 28,000 migrants have crossed the channel by small boats, just shy of last year's total crossings. Labour has promised to crack down on human trafficking gangs and has invested millions in establishing a new border security command. However, the number of migrants attempting to cross illegally remains unchanged since Sir Keir Starmer's government took office. In fact, the current number of crossings is 9% higher than the same point last year. Lastly, in royal news, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have found themselves below Prince Andrew on the official royal family website. The members of the monarchy are listed in order, with King Charles at the top, followed by Queen Camilla, Princess Kate, and Prince William. Other senior royals, such as the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh and the Princess Royal, also have individual pages dedicated to them. However, Harry and Meghan share a single tab titled The Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Unlike other royals, their biography is visible directly from the homepage, stating, "As announced in January 2020, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex have stepped back as working members of the royal family." Prince Andrew, who also stepped back from public duties, has a similar biography. Find out more about the Duke of York. What are your thoughts on the issues we discussed in today's video? Leave your comments down below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content on British current events. Thank you for watching and take care.